So thank you all for joining us today. My name is Zachary Giblin. I am our 4-H and Urban Youth Development Agent in Harris County, Texas. And this is our first day of our 4-H Tech Changemakers Tech Week. And so here with me today, I do have some of our 4-H Tech Changemakers who will be leading our presentation. And they are also members of Harris County, and so they will introduce themselves, and then we can get started with our training today. So you guys can take it away.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Little, and I live in Harris County, and I've been in 4-H for 4 years.
Hello, my name is Emily. I live in Tomball, Harris County, and this is my first year in 4-H.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I live in Harris County, and I've been in 4-H for 6 years.
All right, thank you guys very much. And so throughout this presentation, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat, and I will manage that for 4-H Tech Changemakers while they are doing the presentation. And there will be some times where we will ask you guys some questions. And so for those questions as well, if you could put those in the chat, that would be great. And then we might have some time as well for us to call upon you if you guys have any specific things you want to ask or say, or give us some sort of input. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. If you guys could mute your mics until it is time for us to talk, that would be great. And then y'all can also leave your cameras off as well. And if you guys have any questions, again, feel free to put that in the chat box. All right, and as you guys can see today, our 4-H Tech Changemakers will be talking about the importance and use of strong passwords.
All right, so I'm going to go over our objectives for today. So after participating in this lesson, you will be able to explain the importance of strong passwords. You'll be able to identify the characteristics of strong passwords and apply those characteristics to create or modify your own personal passwords.
Here is the importance of strong passwords. Just as people put locks on cars and security alarm systems on houses to protect their valuables, passwords are used for electronic devices to protect personal information. Risks associated with using weak passwords include people impersonating you to access your bank account and other financial services, purchase items online, get into your social media networking sites, and access private information on your computer. Having strong passwords can reduce, but does not eliminate, the risk of being hacked and having personal information stolen.
All right, so we would like to ask you guys, have any had any experience with people accessing any personal information or our social media accounts or anything like that that you did have a password associated with? Mr. McBride said different companies that he does business with have been hacked and have had your info taken. Yes, so that is also a common problem. I know it's happened with, I don't know if it's been Netflix, but some other carriers like that sometimes have these mass data breaches, and then some of your personal information may be given out. And so yeah, we do sometimes receive those emails from those larger organizations or businesses that do inform us of our information being leaked. Thank you, Mr. McBride. Ms. Emily, are you able to see our PowerPoint?
Yes. All right, strong passwords terminology. A password is a combination of keyboard, letters, numbers, and characters that must be entered to gain admission to many online services such as email, social media accounts, and online shopping accounts, etc. A password manager is a service that allows users to store various passwords and other sensitive information in a virtual vault that is locked and stored on the company's servers for free. And a two-factor authentication services, a means of accessing information by having 2 steps in the verification process. Typically, users are asked to prove their identity by providing credentials such as an email address and a password. A second factor of authentication, such as a phone call, text, or verification, is then used to add security.
All right, thank you, Miss Emily. And so I know for our people who are on here with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, we do come across our two-factor authentication services often with our Duo push notifications that we get. And so essentially for all of our AgriLife logins that we have, after a certain amount of time has passed, I think right now it's about 5 days. Whenever we log in, we do have to do a separate login by our two-factor services, either giving us a phone call, sending us a notification through an app, or by giving us a code through text that we then have to type into wherever we're trying to log into to authenticate that it is us trying to log in to that account or wherever we're going. Some other things do this as well, sometimes with email. If you're logging into your email from a new device, then it will send a code to your phone or give you a call for you to be able to log in on that new device. And so there are a few different instances of this, but those are just a couple that I can come up with off the top of my head. All right, so now we're going to do a little activity where we are going to test the strengths of our passwords that we personally use. And so I will go ahead and put this link into the chat. Let me stop sharing for a second just so I can see my tabs. All right, so if you go to the link that I just put into our chat box, it should take you to this website here that is showing up on our shared screen. And this is a secure site that you can use to test the strength of your passwords. And so if you guys all could go to this website and then pick one of your passwords. And so I'll type in one of mine here, and don't worry, it doesn't actually display the password when you type it in. And after you type in your password, it gives you some comments on the bottom, as well as shows the strength and rating of your password. So one password I use does show that I have a score of 68%, which is a medium rating. And it can also tell us in our comments what we can do to increase the security of that password. So some comments I got is that I could add more characters, whether I add more uppercase, lowercase, more numbers, and more symbols. And then on the bottom, it also tells you how fast it would take a computer to guess your password. So according to this, it would take a computer a very long time to guess my password. And so 68%, that's what it looks like a lot of us are getting 68%. It's probably because we're hitting that very bare minimum of password requirements, which is typically 8 characters, 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase, 1 number, and 1 special character. Looks like Mr. McBride got a 78%, very good. And so if we type in, let's just do an example of a very weak password. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's a very commonly used password. That's a very weak one. And it is listed number 2 in our top 10,000 passwords. as far as the most popular. So it's a very popular one. It's used by many people. That would be very fast for someone to be able to guess that and then potentially log into our information. And so what are some of the comments you guys got that could increase the strength of your password? And you guys can feel free to unmute as well if you would like. Add more characters, add more characters. And symbols. If you retype in my commonly used password, let's say I just add a couple more special characters to it with a combination of letters, then we are at 100% and very strong. And as you can see in the bottom here, it would take a number that I don't even know how to read. So it basically take a computer a very long time to guess this password, and essentially it'd be impossible for a computer or some sort of data hacking software to be able to guess our password. And so we'll get into this a little bit more in our later lessons, but part of this is because of the length of my password, which we will now get into on how long a password should be. So let me go back and represent. And I apologize, Jasmine, I might have hijacked some of this from you. But yes, so some things we want to review. What is the strength, categorical rating, some features of your password, and how can you make it stronger? Let's see what Jaden's saying. All right, so now we're going to watch a good video on some things we can do to make our passwords stronger. Well, let me reshare this with computer audio. All right.
Hello everybody, I'm Paul Ducklin and this is a 2-minute tutorial on how to pick a proper password. Number 1, make your passwords hard to guess. The crooks have dictionaries, books, movie scripts, song lyrics, Facebook, Twitter and much more. So avoid passwords based on nicknames, birthdays, quotations, pets, anything of that sort. And don't forget that easy passwords don't get harder if all you do is add some digits on the end. Password cracking programs can do that as well. Point 2, go as long and complex as you can. Random 8-letter passwords look pretty tough with 26 to the power 8 possibilities. That's a whopping 200 billion. But a password cracking server costing less than $20,000 under ideal circumstances can try out more than 100 billion passwords each second. So mix together uppercase, lowercase, digits and punctuation, and aim for 14 characters or even longer. That may look terribly complicated, but you can make up a little saying to help you out. If you don't like that approach, some people take several unusual words and combine them into a meaningless phrase, like the XKCD cartoon's famous correct horse battery staple password. But watch out for words that relate obviously to you. They do need to be unusual. And point 3, consider using a password manager. Examples include LastPass, KeePass, and 1Password. Password managers can make up complex, random nonsense for each account, plus they remember which password goes with what website. That also helps protect you from phishing, because you can't put the right password into the wrong page. But do remember, you will need a really good password for the password manager itself. So let's go over the points again. 1, make your passwords hard to guess. 2, go as long and complex as you can. 3, consider using a password manager. And no, we hadn't forgotten. Number 4, 1 account, 1 password. Don't reuse passwords. Don't make things easy for the crooks. And until next time, stay secure. Hello everybody.
Oh, sorry about that. Go to our next slide and present.
So here's a review of what to do with, like, how to make strong passwords. First, you have to make them long, with a minimum of 8 characters, but it's recommended that you have 12 to 14. Also, make them unpredictable. They should not include names, dates, common words, hometowns, etc. And avoid keyboard patterns. And finally, use phrases if you can, such as "I ate mashed potatoes for dinner."
All right, so next we're going to go into a little activity. We're going to modify this one a little bit. And so what we would like you guys to do is if each of you could create a list in your chat of what do you think the top 5 most commonly used passwords are. Or just give us some top 5 that you think would be easy to guess, and then we will compare them to our list that we have of some of our very commonly used passwords. And then Emily, if you can just read aloud some of the ones that they're guessing.
Okay, so Jaden Kelly said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and password. Mike McBride said QWERTY. Christina Brown said password as well, and then 1111.
You guys have any more guesses?
Mike McBride said my pass.
All right, so those are some good guesses. So let's look at some of our most commonly used ones. So which ones of these are matched or that you see on our chat and on our slide, Emily?
We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1111, and QWERTY, and password 1. Yeah.
All right, so good job on guessing those. So looking at these, how many of you guys would like to admit that you've used one or more of these passwords before in your life? I've definitely used password. I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've used QWERTY. I've used password 1. Mike says he hasn't used any of these before. All right. Christina hasn't either. She's super guilty of reusing passwords. I think a lot of us are on that one. And so that's one thing that I know I need to try to get better at as well, is like our video explained to us, having a separate password for each application.
All right, so let's ask a few questions here. Why is it important to have a strong password? make it harder to get hacked. That's right.
That's good.
What are some tips for having strong passwords? Using phrases, that's right. A good mix of characters, and using 8 to 16 characters, that's good.
And then Emily, I think you were muted. Were you asking our last question for us?
Oh, yes. What is one change you can make to your password as a result of this lesson? Make it random. Increase the length. Those are good. Add some additional characters and come up with new passwords for different accounts. Yeah, that's important. I know for me personally right now, I probably have only 2 passwords I've been rotating between. Luckily, I haven't been hacked yet, but I do need to work on that as well.
Miss Betty says use the password manager to check passwords. Yes, definitely a good one.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys very much for joining in on our strong passwords presentation. If you all do know how to use a QR code, we do have this QR code up for taking a brief survey. If you aren't familiar with QR codes, just let me know in the chat and then I can send you a PDF version of a survey to send.